from Farsi. So we're all in love with the term bravo. You know what I mean? Bravo, bravo. Oh, you're great. We love you. You're amazing. Tim, great. Bravo, bravo. We're all in love with that. And then Shaham says, um, we know, uh, we know where the rooster's crowing comes from, but more important is to know who made the sunlight. Does that make sense? Part of me wants the bravos. Of course, I'm a human being and it's lovely. But more important than the bravos is something else, the thing that the rooster's crowing for, the thing that makes the sunlight, the thing that makes something that I have a little bit of impact to connect with, but it's not really mine. So I'm usually take a long time. Have a lot of words and things to say often, and I'm wanting to condense them into a some message that I think could give you as much sunlight as possible in the time that we have. So I've broken it down mostly into stories because stories have intelligence in them, and I'm happy to then say something about the ideas behind those stories. But if I can, I'd like to start with some stories that are abusive, about abuse. And I want to say that ahead because some people will want to be trigger warned. And if they're not, I'm not going to go through graphic details, but I'm going to say something about them. So if that is triggering, care for yourself or put your hand on yourself or turn off the audio if you need to, if you think, oh, that would be, uh, or listen to a little bit and make your decision. Yeah, I'm just caring for you, your bodies, and your well-being. Okay, so the first story I want to tell, and again, I'm not going through the intimate details. That would be too triggering and not necessary for the teaching of the moment. But in this story, a young girl gets abused by a father. And in response to that violence, she begins eating a lot and having more difficulties in school. Her mother responds to her and says, sweetheart, you need to diet. And you're way too sensitive about what people say at school. Can you hear it? And then later on, she goes to coaching and therapy. And guess what she goes for? She goes to coaches, help me lose weight. And she goes to therapists, I'm too sensitive. I'm going to tell another one. This is an adolescent girl, and she was, um, I'm allowed to tell these stories, by the way, and some of them are in my third book, an adolescent girl, and she was abused, sexually abused by a clergy. And she begins to have angry outbursts and then making accusations. Hey, something happened to me. This is not okay. And she goes to her parents and to the church elders. And they say, you have anger issues and you need to learn to forgive. Can you hear it? And guess what she goes to work on when she goes to therapy? Help me with my anger. How come I can't let go and forgive? She says, I'm not against forgiveness. I'm trying to give a sense of a story. And I want to say a word about my own story because I grew up in a house where my father used fists and belts to express his rage. A grown man in a rage, and me, a little person. And I went to my mother, who was relatively disempowered, and she said, David, that didn't happen. Why you get this way? If you didn't do certain things, your father wouldn't get angry. Can you hear? That didn't happen. Why are you making things up? What's with you that you get so upset? I got stomach aches at that time, and I was filled with self-doubt. What's true? What's not true? And when I went to therapy early on, I said, what should I do about all this raging self-doubt? I have so little confidence. Help me with my confidence problem. And I went to doctors and supplements and all kinds of healers for my stomach aches. Okay, Where did their stories go? Where did those girls and women's stories go? Where did my story go? I'm looking for help. How come there's no story? How come I don't say, I had a violent father and I didn't know what to do with that? My stomach got hurt. I didn't know what to express it. I got stomach aches that were screaming loud. It was the loudest part of me was my stomach. How come that story is not told? Where did it go? And what about the symptoms? What about that eating? Some people, not everybody, some people eat after a sexual violence to make their bodies less attractive and less visible. Can you hear the intelligence in that? I'm not saying it's a good idea. The intelligence, meaning something is trying to happen. I want to be invisible because that would make me more safe. I'm not doing something that's wrong or stupid or undisciplined. I'm doing something because there's an intelligence in my system trying to say something. Mhm. My stomach aches are happening. What should I do with that? Yes, I could get help and maybe I could not drink coffee and acidic things and be careful, but my stomach has something to say. It was the most powerful part of my childhood because nobody listened to me. But sometimes my stomach aches got so bad, my parents took me to the hospital and all the violence would stop and everyone got quiet. They didn't find anything. What's wrong, David? Maybe you're some kind of hypochondriac. Maybe these stomach aches don't exist. I wasn't making them up. But my body made them up. My body said, I can stop the whole damn family drama in an instant by screaming and yelling about my stomach pain and going into the hospital. Can you see why I would thank my stomach and say, please, can I do that job for you? You don't have to belly ache as much. Maybe I need to learn to do that. But thank you for carrying the message. What happens to our symptoms? They become pathologized. Stomach ache, that's something's wrong with me. Anger, that's something wrong with you. Lack of forgiveness, that's something wrong with you. Sensitivity, that's something wrong with you. We can heal you. We'll take all those symptoms away. And where does the story go? And where does the intelligence that those symptoms are expressing, where do they go? It goes to what's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. I'm filled with self-doubt. How come I can't get over that? What's wrong with me? How do I fix that? I should get confidence classes. No one's saying, I'm confident in your stomach, David. I'm confident in that you had experiences. They're not giving me confidence by connecting me to my truth. And now I'm confident in something I can really anchor myself in, my real story. Otherwise, we're treating confidence as this variable out there that's not connected to my stomach, to my story, to the things I experience, to my own truth. It's just a thing. It's an amorphous thing. It's good to become more confident. I'm not against strategies to do that. But can you see what's happening? Where did the story go? What about the intelligence of the symptoms? How can we end up with this question looming every time something bothers us? If you don't sleep, if you have a stomach ache, if you feel depressed, if you're upset with somebody, if you got hurt by what somebody said, if you're anxious, if you're nervous, whatever it is. Oh, let me figure out what's wrong. I shouldn't have eaten this. What supplement should I take? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. Well, I have a psychological problem. I call that the allopathic way. Let's, a symptom means something's wrong, and we can remove that symptoms and you're fixed and you're healed. We don't have to look at the deep intelligence and story that lives in there. We can just make that symptom go away if we could. Okay. Thanks for hearing that and witnessing my story. I have to take a sip of tea. Mm. Thanks for holding those stories and your own stories. And maybe some of the things that you experience that are difficult have stories in the background. And maybe the symptoms that you experience are intelligent. I say use the word intelligent, meaning there's a message in there. It's not just something wrong. There's something right even in it. Okay, what does this have to do with shame? Well, obviously, what's wrong with me is the central shame question. But shame comes from the way you're witnessed. Now let's think about those violent stories, those traumatic stories. Those stories have three components. They have a perpetrator, right? My father and his fists and belts. Right? We can call him a perpetrator. That would be true. That's not the only aspect of him. There were other aspects of him that were lovely and wonderful, but there was that. No denial about that. So that's the perpetrator. Then there's me, a person, I call that myself a person victimized, because the word victim has gotten to be messy in the current day, doesn't it? Don't be a victim, you're a victim. And I hate that kind of crap. But but I was victimized. I was injured by somebody more powerful from me, and I couldn't defend myself. That can be a person, that can be a person with a system or a police officer, that can be a person in a culture that devalues you for your skin, your words, your language, your sexual identity, your way your body moves, right? Those are also power differences. We can look at you as a culture. We don't like that person. They're no good. They're not worthy. They should be treated less than. That's an injury. That's a perpetration of a violence. Okay. So there's can happen on many levels, those kind of violences. Individually, systems, cultures violate people. How does shame enter? The violence doesn't cause shame itself. If I hurt you, if I smack you in the face and you kind of go, ouch, damn it, I'm going to go care for my face and put some ice on it. There's no shame yet. There is violence. I hurt you. The violence of shame happens from the way it's witnessed. So if I smack you in the face and you kind of go, ouch, and I say, what's wrong with you? That was hardly anything. I can't believe you're upset by that. That was a little nothing. Can you hear? Now I'm witnessing your reaction. Or you go to somebody else. You say, David did this. Oh, David wouldn't have done that. He's a good guy. Come on. He's really awake about those social issues. He never would have treated you that way. If that gets in, if you're confident, you kind of go, I know what that feels like. That didn't feel good to me as this person, as a woman, I didn't feel good to me. If you have that knowledge deep inside, you feel mistreated by me, but no shame enters. You're not thinking what's wrong with me. You're thinking, yeah, I got hurt because that person's a jerk. They're an asshole. They mistreated me. No problem. No shame. Just the assault. Big problem. No shame. But if that voice goes in, David wouldn't have done that. I can't. He didn't mean that anyway. I'm sure he didn't mean. Let it go. You hold on to things. You're too sensitive. I didn't see it that way. Well, maybe it's because of the way you did something. If that witness to the violence denies it didn't happen, or it didn't happen the way you say it did, denies it, dismisses it, it's really not that big a deal. Come on, that's a little thing. So I didn't listen to you. Can you follow? I'm dismissing, denying, dismissing, or gaslighting. Gaslighting means, well, the reason why that injury happened, the reason why your father was so violent, David, is because you didn't do your homework on time. It's because of you that this violence happened. It's not a mistreatment of my father's belts and a rage. It's because of you. If you weren't, whatever, speaking up, if you weren't quiet, if you weren't speaking up, if you weren't sensitive, if you weren't too loud, if you weren't too aggressive, if you weren't too angry, if you weren't too quiet, if you weren't too fill in the blank, that's gaslighting. So when a witness to violence, an abusive event, a traumatizing event, denies, dismisses, gaslights, or neglects means nobody responds, right? I put somebody down on this venue on Zoom. Somebody says something and I kind of treat them really badly, and nobody says anything. Nobody says, David, that was inappropriate. And the person I hurt doesn't say, wait a second, I can't go along with that. And nobody responds to that person. There's a neglect. Or if you get hurt, let's say as a child, and nobody responds. And some of my clients would say, nobody respond because nobody knew, David. Nobody knew. And then I say, that means you didn't tell anybody? No, I didn't tell anybody. Uh-huh. Can you hear it? How come you didn't tell somebody? Why didn't you tell somebody in your life? That's because shame is already present. I'm not supposed to share
Oh,
anything.
yeah, yeah.
Whoops, we got to
All between 8 and 12. Oh,
Can
I'm done.
everyone
So
mute
might be crowded
themselves,
down.
just gonna
please?
mute all. Okay. Am I still here? Can you still hear people still hear me?
Yeah, that should be
Yes.
fine.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
want
I
music.
just I
Yeah.
just muted other people. Okay, great. Right. So neglect is a big thing. So if you have a story we said nobody knew, shame is present because otherwise people would know. Otherwise you would say, ow, or mommy, or daddy, or dear teacher, or dear somebody, or dear friends, this is what's going on. Everybody would share when violence happens if shame wasn't there. You don't hide it because of nothing. You hide it because it's bad. It represents something bad about you, something wrong about you. So denial, dismissal, gaslighting, neglect. When those happen around violence, we doubt ourselves. We bring that voice into our heads. And now I look at myself. Did that really happen? William, did you see that happen? I don't know. Maybe they didn't mean it. And I'm going around looking for validation because I can't trust my own experience. Or I got so upset when that happened, William. Can you help me? I don't know why I get so angry. Can you follow? I go somewhere to take care of my feelings without the story, without the meaning, without somebody saying, of course you're upset. That was a really shitty treatment, David. I wish I could have done something if I were there. Whoa, that's a witness. So the way things are witnessed in the moment, somebody was there. Like if I mistreated somebody on this call, people are here who can witness. It can happen later on. You could not tell anybody for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 2 generations. I think it's time we tell our story as a peoples. When that happens, witnessing is possible. And the way that story by a person, a group, a family, a community, or a culture is witnessed creates shame or not. Denial, dismissal, neglect, gaslighting, shame. That's already over. In the United States, we said, we had a black president. What do you mean? That's over. Can you follow? That's a way of witnessing a cultural violence, a cultural trauma. Okay. Shame is the internalization of that. Shame is an internalized witness that doubts, denies, dismisses, neglects, and gaslights your experience. It's not just a feeling. And then you walk around in your life and you get upset. Why am I like this? And you get sensitive. Why am I like this? And you get nervous. Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? And you walk around with the what's wrong with me? That question, what's wrong with me? How do I fix myself? Is the dominant paradigm. That's not just a rare thing, and some people get traumatized and that happens. It's a culture of trauma and shame. And large parts of the healing industry bank on that happening. Bank on, here's my protocol, I can fix that and make that go away without knowing your story and without thinking maybe what lives inside of you is intelligent and we should get to know something about it. All right. I'm taking a moment just to feel for myself because I get very passionate about this, which is fine. I just want to let that in because for some people that will resonate in terms of how you view yourselves. Yeah. What does a non-shaming witness do? A non-shaming witness sees and validates an experience. I saw that. Well, I'm listening to you. I'm hearing your details. They respond with a certain care or compassion. That means, oh my gosh, William, that sounds bad. I feel for you, brother. Or or protection. How can I help you? I don't want that to happen to you again. Can I stand there with you? Those are compassionate responses. And I believe in you. I believe that something in you is intelligent. I don't think something's wrong with you. I think something's intelligent, that your system is doing just what it needs to do. And when people do that, so if I'm just using William as an example, because I'm the person I'm getting to know, if William said, this is what happened to me, and I went, tell me the details, William. I want to know exactly what happened. What happened inside you? What did you feel? Oh my gosh, that moves me. My heart is moved. I want to protect you. I care about you. I want to, my heart wants you to be more comforted and cared for. Oh, of course you're upset. Of course you're depressed. Of course you're angry. Of course you're up all night thinking about that. I'm believing in you. When that happens, shame gets eliminated. You get unshamed. You get shamed by a witness, and you get unshamed by a witness. You get shamed by a witness who denies and gaslights, and you get unshamed by the opposite of that. Um, hmm. I'm always wishing I can see everybody. Say, how are you doing? I mean, I can't really do that. I have to ask the stars or something. I have to ask the sunlight. I can't ask anybody else. How's it going? I say to my ancestors. They say, don't worry about it. Keep going. Okay. Don't worry. Okay, I'm not going to worry. With me so far? Shame, unshaming. Some people say you can't get rid of shame, you can just be self-accepting. You can unshame literally by actually witnessing the details of a person's experience. Let me give you a few stories of examples of what unshaming looks like. So you can see what does it look like to witness a person's experience, feel for it, have compassion, validate it, etc. What does that look? Believe a person, believe in their experience. Okay, so a woman came to me and she said, I need help because I stutter. People know what stutter is? That means if I were to be her saying my name, I would say the David. I'm not mimicking a person, by the way, just describing how they speak. And I said, what have you done for your stutter? Well, I've gone to speech uh, uh, therapy and I've learned to calm down and relax my system. And when I relax, I stutter a little bit less. Are the situations where that doesn't help? If I'm really upset with certain people and I really want to be a poet and deliver poetry live, but it's so scary and so nervous, I can't help but stutter, so I don't do my poetry. So she's got something wrong. She stutters. We want to make her an unstutterer, right? The unshaming way says, I wonder what stuttering is. Is it intelligent? What does it mean to stutter? I know what it looks like, but what is it for her? So I say to her, let's stutter together. What? No one's asked me to stutter intentionally. Let's stutter together. So she says, can't remember her name. Let's say her name is Nancy. I can't remember, but I don't want to use her name. Um, so then I say, no, 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 Nancy. And she says, da, 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 David. No, 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 Nancy. Da, 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 David. And we're going back and forth. And after a minute or two, we're glowing. We're both laughing and smiling. What's so funny? What's so happy? We're not making jokes about it. Why does it feel so good? Isn't that interesting? Something feels good. Having a witness, being somebody who's interested, someone who's not looking at her as a problem, as a difficulty, someone who's enjoying the way she actually is, not asking her to change, that's already a big event. So we're doing that. David. Now I want you to listen to what a stutter is like. If we're witnessing a stutter, the details, listen to what a stutter. I'm going to do the word David in a stutter. David. David. Can you hear the and then the breakout? David. Can you hear? It's like the word gets stuck, like there's a invisible barrier, right? And then it breaks out. So I'm witnessing the stutter. I break it down. Can't do all the details. But it didn't only took 20 minutes. It didn't take 3 weeks or 3 years. Breaking it down to that little bit. So let's do that first part, the da, da, da. So then we start going da, 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 right? And we're also feeling pretty good. She's getting alive. Da, da, da. And I said, that's a great energy. Can you put a word to that energy? The da, da, da. What word? And she giggles. Can you imagine what word she comes up with? Am I allowed to curse? Is cursing okay, William? Maybe okay. If cursing offends you, please block your ears. So she says, well, fuck. And I said, let's do the word fuck. So she goes, fuck, fuck. No stutter. She's screaming out, fuck, absolutely no stutter. Whoa, that's interesting. Isn't that interesting? I didn't calm her down. I didn't treat her stutter like a problem. I said, I want more of that. Please be more of you, not less of you. Right? And then she starts having a lot of feelings, talking about her earlier life with her family, how she would sit at the dinner table and had to be quiet when she was really upset and could never get upset with everybody. Can you hear it? Can you hear the energy that wants to scream out in the family dinner and something that makes it impermissible and forbidden? That's a stutter. I'm not saying all stutters are like that, but almost all stutters have that energy because I've worked a lot with stutters, among other things. Oh, it's connected to a story. Oh, you have a lot of energy in you that you're trying to chill out and calm down? Fascinating. Let's talk more about the kind of woman you are. Well, I would be screaming about things that are going on in the world and da, da, da. Let's talk about that. Tell me what's going on politically. Well, da, 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 da. And she's yelling about stuff, no stutter. It's not just an early story, it's who she is. She has a lot of fire in her. Is stuttering a problem to get rid of? Or is stuttering an intelligent message about her nature that's being treated like an illness and what I call pathologized? Let's treat it like a pathology to get rid of. We worked on her poetry and we came up with the idea of doing stutter poetry. So she ended up doing poetry live. This is my poem. Can you hear it? It was beautiful. It was incredible. I'm the stutterer. That's right. Gorgeous. Will the stuttering go away? Sometimes, yes, sometimes no. But she has a life. Can you follow? She's not a sickness. She's not a problem. She's a person up against a world that doesn't make it easy to live your full self, like everybody. She's not a sick person. She's a beautiful person trying to come out more as her. Fantastic. Okay, I know we took about five, we probably have about 5 to 10 minutes max. Let me tell one more story. You getting the idea of unshaming? Now, to do that, you need certain skills. How did I decide to look at that stutter and listen to it and break it down into somatic experiences and then help her do that with voice? Those are tools and skills that I'll be teaching in London at the end of the month and other places online if you want to check me out. If I can't, the skills would take some hours to teach. But the idea I'm wanting to give you, I want you to walk away thinking, not what's wrong with me. I wonder what intelligence lives in me. What story and what intelligence. Maybe this thing I'm trying to make go away. I'm rushing because I'm thinking about time. Maybe this thing I'm trying to make go away has intelligence in it. Okay, think with me about this. A woman comes to me and she says, David, I need help. I'm having relationship problems. What's your problem? I need to be more open. How are you going to have a relationship if you're not more open? And I have a spiritual teacher, and that teacher's telling me, you got to be more open if you want to have good relationships. Okay. Let yourself, we don't have time to take all your answers, but I will do some Q&A in a few minutes. But think about that. What are you thinking? What are you thinking about that person? You don't have to know. We're just make hypotheses in your brain. Now, what am I going to do as an unshamer? What does it look like to be not open? I'm not taking the bait. I'll help you be more open unless her system shows me from inside out that being open is just right. But right now it's an idea. And where did the idea come from? Well, a spiritual teacher. It came from a spiritual teacher. Did it come from gender ideas that you should be open and warm and friendly and loving no matter what? Could be. I haven't learned yet. But I should be suspicious, shouldn't I? If I'm going to help that person, because a lot of times what people come with as their problems are shaming ideas about themselves. That person that says, I have a stutter. That's a problem. Make it go away. They're not saying, I have energy in me that lives and I don't know what to do with it. I can hardly get it out. Help me with that. She doesn't say that. She gives me the first part. This person says, I need to be more open. What's it like not to be open? What do you mean? I need to be open. What would it look like to be more closed? I don't know. Can you feel what it would like in your body to be more closed? A part of you is not open. Because, yeah, I can feel a little bit. Can you see my body? Her hands move back. Her body moves back a little bit. Can you see my body? My soma is showing you not openness. Go ahead. Keep going with that movement. I see you moving back. I see your hands moving forward. Keep letting your body move back. Trust your body. Let it do its thing, not your idea about openness and closedness. Trust your body. Okay, I'm going back. And the hands, can you see my hands? They come up and she goes back and she looks like this. She has her hands in front of her face, but with openings. Can you see? I see you back there. I can't see you very well. Can you see out? Yes, I can see out. What's that like? It's like I'm behind a big rock, but I'm checking you out from a distance. Are you starting to wonder what the intelligence is? I'm checking you out from a distance. Somebody says, be open. Somebody else says, I'm going to check you out from a distance first. Intelligent or not? Should we get her to be open? or not? I don't know. I don't even know what openness means yet. Maybe it's just a cultural idea she put in her head. Maybe it's just a criticism. I don't know yet. I need her body and her deep wisdom to show me her intelligence. Go ahead. Imagine you're with this person that you're interested in relationship with. Yeah. And go ahead and look at him from behind the rock. Mostly hidden, but you can see him. What do you see? Well, I'm wondering whether he can really meet my needs. Good question. Take a look at him from behind the rock. Do you think he could? What do you see? I'm not sure. There's some real indications from what he's told me that this may not be a great relationship. Slow down. I see. From behind the rock, you check people out. Is this person right for me? Do you usually do that with relationships? No, I kind of jump in and try to be really open to people. Aha. Starting to understand the story now more? What's the medicine? Is being open the medicine? Or is being what she's calling being closed? And here's the next question. Is looking at somebody from checking a person out, is that closed? Because if I would say, William, I don't know, I have some questions before we go any further because you seem like a really good person, but I don't know you really well. That seems like a very open person to me. More open than, hi, everything's good. That person's revealing something. That person's more transparent. Can you follow? What is openness? What's closeness? Is closeness honesty? Truth telling? Genuine authenticity? Those are real questions now because shame earlier defined openness and closeness. Openness good, closeness bad. Yeah. What do you think of the spiritual teacher? Are you suspect? You should be, because a lot of people who are going to teachers are getting hurt by someone telling them they should be open. I've heard way too many stories, not just in the church itself, way too many stories of somebody saying, you need to be open, you need to be open. It gives me the shivers, it makes me cry, it makes me furious that people are told to be open because their body starts putting up a certain boundary that's not recognized and shamed. Yeah. Okay, there's so many more things I could say, and I was going to show a video about it, working with a person who was working on trauma, but I don't know. What do you think, William? Should I make a close at this point, and then we can have Q&A?
How long is your video?
I'm sorry?
How long is your video?
Probably going to be about 4 minutes, five
Oh, that's
minutes.
fine. Yeah, no, we could do that.
You sure?
I think
That'd be
people
good for
would
people. I want to make
appreciate.
sure I get people's questions in too.
Yes, we have time.
Okay, thanks. I shouldn't have said I have one because now it's like hard to say. Like that was not. I didn't realize I was doing that. Okay. Um. Okay, I'm gonna share. How do I share my screen? I'm sharing. There we go. Share screen. Share. There we go. Can people see that video? I'm allowed to show this, by the way. This is public and you can find these. I have a something I call UnShamed TV, and there's like 20 episodes of people who were willing to work with me in public and on a live way and then make them available. This is Sarah. Came to me, said, I need help with my trauma. And what's the problem? She said, I freeze. Some of you know that freezing is one of the significant important symptoms of trauma. I freeze. I'm not free. I'm not fluid. I can't move through things. I freeze. So what do we do from an unshaming way? We think, what's freezing? I wonder what it's like to freeze. Could you freeze? Let's freeze together. Can you follow? Unshaming is almost not psychology. It's like meditation, William. It's a witness. I want to get to know. Let's freeze. Let's find out what this freeze thing actually is before we medicate it and treat it like a pathology. Okay, let me show you a little bit of Sarah.
Show me those hands again. I can see them the best I can.
Can people hear and see there? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yes, can you hear?
thank you. So you're missing the first part, because it would take too long. So I asked Sarah what it was like to freeze, and she did something like, can you see my image still? She did something like this. Can you feel? Her arms are tight, her muscles are tight, her body is like clenched in, and her hands are like this. She's freezing. Okay. That's what we saw before. And then her hand started doing something interesting. I said, go ahead, let yourself freeze more. Let yourself freeze all the way. Well, don't you want to get me out of the freeze? Let yourself freeze all the way. Let the freeze take over so we can get to know it because maybe it's intelligent. So she started doing this. Can you see a subtle shaking in my hands? I'm amplifying it a little bit more than she was, but I could see it. It's like this, only it was subtler. I said, oh, those are interesting. Your hands shaking in a freeze. Can you let your hands shake? Why should I let the hand shake? Unshaming. Trust her. Not you, David. Not your right theories about trauma. Write about those. But with the person, trust her. That's an unshaming act. So she does that, and I'm saying, go ahead, let yourself hands do that. And pretty soon she's doing this motion with her hands. Right? That's not my idea. That's her body showing.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
they are.
Great.
They're
Go ahead.
never still enough to like have me make sense of anything. It's just
Right.
constantly moving clashes.
Isn't that interesting? She says she's frozen, but something in her is constantly moving. Who's that? Let's find out.
Love that. Great. Now put your hands back up. I'm just doing that so I can see and everyone can see. So I can witness. If we had more time, I wouldn't. Put those hands back down and start doing that motion that you would, the motion that doesn't stop. And imagine, Sarah, as you're doing that, don't hurt yourself. If it hurts your hands or something, then tell me because I don't want you to get injured.
Mhm.
Imagine that those hands were doing a little of something that if they were free, they would do more of. Imagine.
The unshaming technique is be more you. Go all the way. Not let's, oh, I'm sorry, that must be difficult. Let me soothe you. I want to soothe you, but I want you to have the medicine inside of you that knows what to do about this. David's only here for an hour. I want you to have something that lives inside of you that's going to be useful. So that's why I'm getting her. Do more of it. Yeah. Okay.
Like, okay, dear hands, I know you're doing a little bit. Please feel free to do a lot. Whatever you're doing. Now I'm seeing it. Can you follow everybody? Now it's amplifying. Now we're unshaming. I'm seeing more. What am I seeing? I'm seeing Sarah's hands.
Isn't that amazing? You're seeing her now? Are you seeing what Sarah has living inside of her? It doesn't look only like a frozen person. This
Have a
lives
theory
inside
about
her
it?
freeze.
No. I'm meeting another being. Go with that. And now go really free. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Her. I'm meeting you. That one. I'm meeting somebody that I hadn't met before. I'm meeting someone. Stay with that, Sarah. Stay with it. I'm going to ask you a question. Stay in that state. Don't come out for my question.
I'm just witnessing so far. That's why I'm saying, oh, I'm meeting you. I'm meeting you. I'm not trying to label it or put something on it. I'm seeing another creature, so to speak, right? A human, another creature. And I'm kind of like, oh, that's fascinating. What are you doing? Beautiful, perfect, incredible. Unshaming.
Dear you, whoever you are, why are you showing up in Sarah's life these days?
I just feel tired.
Yes, one part is tired. I hear that.
Well,
Mhm. And another part doesn't stop moving with her energy. That's very important, everybody. Tiredness is very important. I care about her tiredness. I don't want anything shaming about her tiredness. But this thing, it doesn't look tired. It looks like a perpetual emotion that won't stop. I have to make sure I don't lose touch with that. If I have a compassion for her tiredness, such that my compassion is not compassionate for this, then I miss her. Then I'm blind and I care about one part of her, but I lose this thing that we're calling anger. Stay with it. I know you're tired, Sarah. Stay with it a little bit longer.
Just 30 more seconds. Yeah.
And if those hands were free, and Sarah, if you can make a face that goes with those hands, I love those.
Look at that
Make a
face.
face that goes with that. I'm helping her shapeshift. It's a little bit of a shamanic act. And I can see the face. I can see it in her mouth. Great. I'm seeing her hands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
And dear you, what can you do that normal Sarah can't?
what can I do that I can't?
What can you do, this person? What can you do that normal Sarah wouldn't do or can't do?
I don't freeze.
You don't freeze.
Did you see the medicine for freezing? This is her medicine for freezing. This one doesn't freeze. It's inside of her. That's the unshaming way. Thank you, Sarah. She's not here, but I appreciate um, her being offering that intelligence to so many of us. Yeah. Touches me every time. We find inside of her. The medicine's in her, not in me, not in my theories, not in my ideas, not my protocols. I just have to know how to witness her and believe in her so that she can find it. Okay, I'm going to close up the formal part then, or this lecture-y part, and then we can go into questions. I want to end with a poem, at least some lines of a poem by a poet named Galway Kinnell. Um, um, and it's called Saint Francis and the Sow, the pig. Saint Francis, the saint of that was connected to animals. And Galway says, the bud of like the bud of the flower, the bud. The bud stands for all things. The bud stands for all things. Everything is a bud that can flower. Everything you look at, freezing, stuttering, closeness, everything is a bud. It stands for everything, even those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing. Everything flowers of self-blessing. When I first heard those lines, I thought, self-blessing is good, self-love is good, but sometimes you need another person, don't you? I have. Some people say, love yourself first. And I always think, I had a lot of people helping me love myself first, I got to tell you, before I could do it. Everything flowers within self-blessing. Back to the poem. Though sometimes it's necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. Isn't that a great line? Sometimes it's necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. Dear freezing, you're lovely. Dear closeness, you're lovely. To put a hand on the brow of the flower and retell it in touch and in words, it's lovely. Sometimes you have to reteach a thing you could forget. You have to put your hand on that stomach ache. You have to put your hand on that depression. You have to put your hand on your anxiety. You have to put your hand on the cut wound or the black and blue mark. Retell it in words and touches lovely until it flowers again from within of self-blessing. The bud stands for everything. That's the poetic expression of an unshaming way. Thank you so much for your ears and hearts and willingness to make a space for me. That's a great gift for me. My life would be vastly worse if I didn't have people to share what I've been thinking about and studying for the last 35 years. But we can be open to questions for, I don't know, we got maybe 20 or so minutes, William, or something like that, or 25 minutes.